So the next pose that we're going to do is called the downward dog, and this is often a familiar pose to people, but it's quite a useful pose because it combines flexibility at a number of joints and stability at a number of joints. So let's just quickly do the movement itself as a demo, and then we'll split it up into its various components. So I'm starting off with my fingers as wide as the mat. Coming up, right up onto my toes and pushing hard with my arms to lift my hips high. Once I get high, I'm making sure my legs are straight and locked, and then I'm allowing my heels to come down. Okay, so that's our downward dog movement. So we'll split it up into a number of components. So firstly, why is it useful? Well, you could see that it is quite a stretch, and it stretches the calf and the hamstring muscles. And those sets of muscles are often placed on stretch and used in something such as running. So as I come for a running action, I'm using my calf, stretching my calf, using my calf muscles and my hamstring muscles. So a downward dog movement is quite good in that it works both of those at the same time. As I'm having to push with my arms, it's a little bit like doing a handstand. So as I'm pushing with my arms, I'm working on shoulder stability. So I'm having to try to keep my shoulder blade fixed on my rib cage. So I want to avoid any winging of the scapula. And as I do that movement, I'm trying to get that sort of V shape. So I want my breastbone to lift up so that I'm straight in this position rather than trying to do this movement. And then finally, I'm trying to get my backside as high as possible, my hips up and my heels down. So that's quite a stretch. So we need to build things up, to gradually make this possible. So the first thing we'll do then is to work on the pushing. And in order to do this, I'm going to take a couple of yoga bricks. So what I've done now then is to turn my mat around so that the short edge of the mat is up against the wall. And I can do similar movements with blocks. So when I put the block down flat on the mat, when I was using the edge of my hand, I can do the same thing. So the block goes against the wall, doesn't slide, foot is on the edge, and then I'm pushing into that position, and I'm focusing on trying to get my arm to lock out. And when my arm locks, if you look at the inner side of my elbow, as it locks, the inner side of the elbow moves out. So there's an outward movement, what we call a lateral rotation of the arm. And obviously my hand is on the floor. So as I press that area of the elbow, we call the cubital fossa, moves outwards. So it's in, moving out, in, moving out. So that twisting movement locks the elbow joint out and helps to secure the shoulder. So we focus on that movement of really trying to screw the arm, screw the hand into the mat as though I'm trying to twist my hand, and of course my hand can't twist because it's on the mat. So the next joint up is the elbow, and that's the thing that twists. The next thing that I can do then is to put my block up at an angle. So when my heel was on the block and I was on the mat, I was in this position. But what I can now do at the wall is lift my block up to sort of 45 degrees and put my heel, my foot on the mat, so the heel just brushes onto the wall. So what I'm doing is putting my blocks up onto the skirting board. Now, when you're at home, it may be that your skirting board is bigger or smaller, so you need to adjust for that. But essentially, I've got the front edge of the mat actually gripping into the sticky mat. The top end of the block is on the wall, so neither end can slide. Hands are on the mat with my little finger on the edge of the mat, and I put my flat foot up on the block. My heel is just brushing against the wall, and now I can practice pushing with my arms, and I'm doing two things. So I'm trying to get that screw movement of my hand as though I was trying to turn my hand out and it doesn't move, and instead the elbow moves. So the inner elbow moves outwards, inner movement outwards. And I'm trying to end up with my arm level with my ear, a little bit, hands a little bit closer, so I want my elbow level with my ear. I can also practice with the legs, so my knees are bent, knees straight, knees bent, knees straight. And I'm just focusing then on working my thigh muscles, working my quadriceps muscles. So various different positions that we can learn the downward dog. And essentially what we're looking for is to try to get into that high V position. So the hips are high, the shoulders are stable so that the elbow comes back towards the ear, the heels are coming down onto the mat. So the downward dog movement, useful for all sorts of sports, useful as an exercise to stretch out the shoulders, to stretch out the hamstrings and calves.